Today's guest is Brandon Liebowitz. Brandon runs and operates SEO Optimizers, which is a digital marketing company that focuses on helping small and medium-sized businesses get more online traffic. We will discuss a variety of digital marketing topics, including what SEO is, some of the digital marketing trends being used today, as well as how companies convert their marketing strategies into sales. With that, let's get started. I have Brandon Liebowitz here with me today and appreciate him coming on to our podcast here and teaching us a little bit about digital marketing, SEO. There's a lot to this world that's very vague. It's very, these culture terms that are thrown around loosely, but hopefully we can dive into some of the specifics here and Brandon give us his insight. But first, Brandon, if you don't mind going ahead and describing who you are, what you do, some of your background.
My name is Brandon Liebowitz, and I help people get more traffic to the website using search engine optimization and other digital marketing strategies to help drive awareness and build traffic to the website. Kind of just fell into it, got my degree in business marketing back in 2007. And the first job I got out of school was helping a company out doing their digital marketing. And I didn't know much about it. They didn't know much about it either. They said, we're going to take you to classes, workshops, seminars, and learn alongside with you. And did that, and after a few months, just realized everyone's probably going to have a website, and there's a lot of different ways to get traffic, and SEO is just a way to get free traffic. So I focused on SEO over the years, working at different advertising agencies, and while I was working full-time, I'd work before work, after work, on my lunch break, on my own company, and built it up to where I was able to quit my job and focus solely on this, and been doing that ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. You're probably, I shouldn't say probably, you are definitely spot on about everybody having a website. Basically, I don't know if you can exist today as a company without having a website. So on that note, SEO, again, it's a very quickly thrown around term. What does it stand for? What does it mean? And why is it relevant to companies today?
So SEO is search engine optimization, which means optimizing websites to rank on the search engines, which really means when you search on Google, there's ads at the top. Those are all paid ads, where if you click on those, that company is paying Google a couple cents per click. It could be a couple dollars per click. It could be a couple $100 per click. It gets pretty expensive. So those are all paid ads, but right below the paid ads are the organic, the free listings, which SEO is all about getting you in those free listings on Google.
Yeah, okay, it makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. You see a lot of ads at the top, and to my understanding, that's what you also work with as well. Like you do work in Google Ads as well. Like you help companies understand the value there versus SEO, correct? You do both of those worlds.
Do a little bit with the paid ads just to help supplement things because SEO does take time. So while you're waiting for the results from SEO, a lot of people want to run some paid ads just to get some traction, get some immediate results. And the ads do work. Just make sure you have a positive return on your ad spend. As long as you're making a positive return on your ad spend, then keep doing those ads. But if you're spending more than you're making, then you probably got to cut them out.
That's fair enough. And so the question you had mentioned, it takes time for SEO to take place. What exactly is happening when you start working on SEO? Why does that take time?
Oh, it's just because Google just does not trust any website. So they look at you and they don't believe that you are who you say you are. And Google wants you to build trust. And the way to build trust up is by getting what are called backlinks. Got to get other websites talking about you. The more websites that talk about you, the more trust Google gives to you. And then they look at the keywords on your website to figure out what to rank you for. But it doesn't work the other way around. Without backlinks, it's pretty much impossible to rank on Google. So you have to build backlinks, and building backlinks takes time. It's not just immediate. So like a backlink would be a clickable link from another website that points to yours. If you're reading, let's say, an article on the New York Times.com, and then in there it says Brandon Liebowitz, and you click on that and it goes to my website, then I'd be getting a backlink from the New York Times. So the more websites that talk about you or link out to you, the more trust Google is going to give to you. And building those backlinks just takes time. You can't just all of a sudden build a bunch of backlinks and get trust from Google. You have to build it up over the years and show them that over time, people are talking about you, and then they're going to reward you with more trust and then looking at those keywords.
And so with these backlinks, it is preferable then for people to actually click on those backlinks. So it's not just about establishing backlinks, but maybe even having people click on those backlinks to get back, correct?
A little bit, but not necessary.
Okay.
If nobody clicks on it, it still will help out. But if people click on it, it will help out a little bit more.
Mm.
But the main thing is really just getting that backlink. If people click on it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. But really, we just want Google to see that clickable link. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, that's awesome. And so switching, it's not really switching gears here because we're moving from SEO into marketing more in general. As we look at digital marketing, what would you say are like the top 2 or 3 biggest trends that you're seeing in the market today that is helping companies really thrive in today's culture or today's environment?
I'd say video is a big part, making and creating videos, because attention spans are so short nowadays that if you have a long blog post or an article, people probably don't want to read that nowadays. So having something visual helps out, and video is an easy way to convey your message, where if someone just could click that play button, you'll speak, you'll talk to them. So it does all the work for people, and you could use that video all over the web now. And look at social media. It's primarily videos now on Instagram and TikTok. Everything is really shifted to video. Even Pinterest lets you put videos up, and all the platforms let you put videos because they know that visual content is where everything is shifting towards. So have that video, create a video, use that for when you put it on YouTube, you could put it on your website so people could hear you speak and learn more about you. You could run ads with videos, and all that's going to just be a little more effective. Put a face behind the company and put that more personable touch versus just an article on a static website. Doesn't really show who you are too much.
Okay. And so there's a lot of social platforms out there. Where do you typically recommend that an organization or a business can start? Because you listed off a few. You got Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, if people are still there. Like, what channels are the most popular, and how do you suggest people find their way to these platforms?
The more popular platforms would be like Instagram or TikTok, but popularity doesn't mean that's where you need to be, because you need to be where your audience is at. Just because TikTok is huge or Instagram is huge, if your audience isn't on TikTok or Instagram, then you don't need to be there. If they're on Twitter, then that's where you need to be. Or if they're on LinkedIn, that's where you need to be. But it's really trying to figure out who your audience is and what platforms are they on, not trying to figure out which platforms are most popular, because that's where social media becomes a big waste of time. Is people try to be everywhere, where you don't need to be on every platform. You just need to be on the platforms where your audience is at. And maybe your audience isn't on social media. If you're a dentist, those people probably aren't going to be going on Instagram looking for you. Some people might, but majority of people are probably going to go on Google or Yelp, something like that, to find you. So it's just trying to figure out who you are. And then after they find you, then they might check you out on social media to vouch that you're a real company. You have reviews, testimonials, you have status updates, you have likes, friends, comments, followers, whatever it may be. But they want to just see that you are a real business. So social could be great to put a face behind the company and build that trust up for a doctor, dentist, lawyer, stuff like that, plumber. But it just really is trying to figure out who your audience is and where they are. That's number one. With marketing in general, is just trying to figure out who your audience is, hone in on them, and just hyper target them as much as you can.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing you described there too, there's a lot of different avenues to get there. And so although social media may not lead to direct sales, you're even saying it's just even good for brand recognition. That's what I heard you saying anyways. That's that's important to a company's growth, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it definitely helps with the branding and putting a face behind the company, building trust for people, because when someone has gone to your website, how do they know you are who you say you are? Because getting Google to trust you is tough, but getting people to trust you is even tougher. So that's where social media helps with that trust and just sends positive signals, social signals to you or to the viewer.
Yeah. And so you said you had been involved in this whole industry since roughly 2007, like you had said earlier. And since then, technology has obviously changed a lot. Social platforms have popped up, been destroyed. What is the biggest thing you've seen change, and how is it a really quickly changing market? TikTok seemed to be popping up over the last, 2, maybe even 3 years, but like, how quickly is this market changing, and how have you seen it change?
It changes every single day, which keeps it interesting, but the big changes happen every few months or a year, every couple of years. But the biggest change is really just like social media is an easy way to break into that market without having to have a a large expense. You could just create an Instagram page and you could just start going from there. Whereas in the past, you had to build a website, which is expensive, and you have to do the marketing for the website, which you have to do the marketing for social media as well. But it's a little bit more straightforward. Doing SEO, technical, got to get in the coding, make some changes to the coding. And it's not as easy as social media where you just post some content, engage with people, and try to be social and use right like hashtags and keywords in the post to drive that awareness. But I'd say social media has been probably the biggest change.
Okay. You would say that's changed, or actually, let me even back up here because I did have another question regarding that. As you look at marketing in general, what marketing efforts are a waste of an organization's time? Because there's stuff that, again, that was popular, but maybe isn't popular anymore. Is there anything that's, I wouldn't recommend investing into that anymore?
I would say try it all out, throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, because you never know what's going to work. Sometimes old strategies that no one's employing has less competition, so it's easier to get in and rank for it. So I would try it all out and see what works, what doesn't work, because you never know until you try it. You could read strategies and guides from gurus and people like that, but who knows how accurate they are, if they're telling you the truth, or if they are telling you what works. Tomorrow it might change because digital is so constantly evolving. So that's the biggest thing, is just whatever you read online, just take it with a grain of salt until you try it out, because you never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. And just because someone says it doesn't work doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work anymore. Maybe they were doing it the wrong way, and you just have your own little spin on it and we'll get it to work again.
Okay. And so what kind of process do you take your clients, your customers through in order to get them from point A the whole way down to, hey, we have a really good strategy that's pulling in results?
It's not a one size fits all. The first step is really a website audit, checking out the website, seeing how they're performing versus the competitors, which really means looking at their backlinks for SEO. So looking at your competitors' backlinks versus yours, because everything is transparent. I can see what you're doing. You can see what I'm doing using different tools. So you have to pay for these tools, but they will show you any website's backlinks. And then one by one, you can start going through all their backlinks and trying to acquire them on your own, because if it's working for your competitors, it's more than likely going to work for you. You just have to just tap into it and find those backlinks. So you have to pay for these tools. Some are called like Ahrefs is really popular. Moz is another popular one, or SEMrush are some of the more popular ones. You have to pay about $100 a month, but they'll show you everything you need to know. And then I can get a game plan and strategize what your competitors are doing versus what you're doing, and try to figure out what's missing and how to fill that void and get you to that level that you want to be at. Because that's number one, is really diving in and analyzing, because every website's going to be different in terms of competition, how much SEO has been done to your website versus competitors. So really have to dive in and figure that out.
Yeah. And okay, so you mentioned there's a lot of variety, which makes sense. There's a lot of different types of businesses. Are there any types of organizations or businesses or verticals that you yourself have a specialty in, or is there anything that you specialize in, the skill set and certain verticals that'd be helpful?
No, so some people focus only on like lawyers or doctors, but with SEO, it really works for any type of business as long as you have a viable product or service. It could help out. It's just changing the keywords. If I'm helping a mechanic versus a teacher, they're going to use different keywords. So try to figure out what keywords to utilize, put them in the right places, and build the right backlinks. But focusing on one specific industry, it's not really necessary, because as long as you do the right things and send the right signals to Google, they're going to be rewarded with that traffic. So the main thing is just making sure that you're not selling something really generic. If you're selling something like t-shirts, you got a lot of competition, because the way SEO works is we're not trying to beat Google. We're just trying to figure out who's on that first page of Google for your keywords. That's your competition. So if you're selling t-shirts, you probably got Amazon and Walmart or Target or Costco and all these big corporations, Nordstrom's, Macy's, where you're competing against them. And that's feasible, but it's just going to take a really long time. Unless you're a big corporation too, it's going to be tough to compete against them. So it's just making sure that you have realistic goals and the product or service that isn't just saturated and dominated by these big corporations.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the more interesting practical questions actually is, okay, now we have a marketing strategy. How do we turn marketing into cash? How do we convert these marketing tactics into sales? And sales opportunities.
Yep. So once you get someone to your website, that's how I figured out half the battle is getting traffic to your website. With SEO, I'll rank you on Google. I can get you all this traffic, but if your website isn't optimized for conversions, then you're probably not going to get many leads, sales, phone calls, whatever that conversion goal is. So got to make sure you optimize that website to convert, which a lot of people don't really focus on when they're building a website. They want a website that looks nice, but they don't focus on the conversion aspect of it. So the big part is really just making sure you have all your really pertinent information at the top of your website or top of the page. So anytime you open up a website on a computer or a cell phone, whatever on the screen, that's called above the fold. 70% of people will never scroll down on a website. So you have to have all your really the most important stuff at the top. Have like your value proposition. What's in it for me? What am I going to get out of using your product or service? Have a couple bullet points or a video might be good to put up there. And then you could have your call to action at the top. Depending on what you're doing, if you're in e-commerce, you would probably put like buy now, shop now, add to cart. But if you're a service-based business, you might have a form there or a phone number. But you got to make sure all that stuff is above the fold, because if you have to have people start scrolling, you lost over half your traffic already. But it's all about testing, because you never know what's going to work. So just playing around, testing that website out, moving things around, playing with things, and just trying to see what converts best.
So you start this process, and honestly, it sounds like a time-consuming process, and it sounds like that's just how this whole area is. So how long would you tell people to expect from the start of a strategy towards the living into the strategy? What do you suggest for people to hold themselves to?
So SEO takes, it's not one size fits all, but it takes about 6 months, give or take. Sometimes it could take a lot longer. Sometimes it could take a lot quicker. Just depends on how much SEO has been done to your website versus the competitors and how much competition do you have. If you don't have any competition, then it's pretty quick and easy to get up there. But if you have competition, there's a lot of people fighting for that. Like if you're a restaurant in Los Angeles, there's a lot of restaurants and there's only 10 spots on that first page of Google. So a lot of people are fighting for that position. So getting up there is going to take a lot of time. And the strategy with SEO, unfortunately, it doesn't really end if you have competition, because once you push someone off that first page of Google, they're not going to be happy about that. And they're going to look at all your backlinks. They're going to look at all the keywords that we've done, placed on your website, and try to get more backlinks than you. So it's a back and forth battle. If you have competition, if you don't have any competitors, then you don't have to worry about them trying to push you down and get back to that first page of Google. But most websites nowadays have some competition, so you have to maintain it. And the maintenance is really by building backlinks for the most part and doing other optimizations on the website, but primarily continuously building backlinks to show Google that people are still talking about you, that you're relevant and that you're trustworthy.
Really interesting. As far as the industry as a whole, apologize, I forgot to put myself on do not disturb. There we go. Okay, we're good. Mm-hmm. No as far as the industry looks as a whole, is there anything for people to be aware of that I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Is there anything for people to be aware of when it comes to, because look at hiring a person like yourself versus bringing somebody in-house. What should people be aware of in that whole transition? Is there benefit to bringing somebody in-house, or is it better to outsource to something like this? What are your opinions? Because obviously there's got to be pros and cons to
both. Work pretty well. It just depends on how hands-on you want to be. If you want to have someone working full-time on it in the office, then you could see what's going on and you could leverage them maybe for other tasks in the office to help out with other things that people are doing and collaborate with other people and bounce ideas off other people. But if you're hiring just a company, hopefully they're doing the same thing, but maybe you don't get that more personalization. And hiring someone full-time is probably gonna be a little bit more expensive than hiring a company, just depending on salary and things like that. So it just depends on your budget and how hands-on you want to be. But as long as you hire a good company or a good person that knows what they're doing, then you shouldn't really have to worry too much. But that's the main thing, just making sure that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, personally, a lot of our business is out of outsourcing. So I'm obviously a huge fan of outsourcing, but always curious to see where that line is at, where people are looking to move themselves towards. As we work towards the end of our conversation, I wanted to open up the floor to you, to anything really in the whole digital marketing realm that you would find interesting for our audience to hear, or any special notes that you feel like hey, this is a worthwhile thing to hear in this whole industry of SEO and digital marketing. I wanted to open that up to you.
The big thing is just patience with all this stuff. It's just not expecting immediate results with SEO. It does take time. So a lot of people get discouraged. They're not seeing that traction or growth that they're looking to see. And there's a lot of ways to get immediate growth, like social media, running paid ads, doing email marketing will get you that traction right away. But SEO is more of a long-term play where it takes time for Google to trust you. A lot of people get discouraged. They don't see the results and they give up. But as long as you keep sending the right signals to Google and doing the right things, they're going to reward you. It's just being patient with all that stuff and just realizing it takes time. Everything with digital takes time. Sometimes you might go viral, but most of the time it's that slow growth over time where you're going to see yourself having a little bit more traffic here and there. But overall, as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's the main thing. So just be patient with it all and keep working at it and don't get discouraged. It does take a lot of time. And if you could get a mentor, that really helps out a lot for business in general, just finding someone that's more established and could give you some advice, tips, and show you what's worked for them, what hasn't worked, so you can skip over the things that have not worked and do the things that have worked for them. And then that will help you really just grow and accelerate your business.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to talk about here today?
Yeah, I think those are the main things. I have a lot of other classes I've done over the years that if people want to see like step-by-step how to do this stuff, they could check that out, searching my name on YouTube, Brandon Liebowitz, but yeah, that would be the best because that's right. It shows step-by-step how to do a lot of the SEO, social media, the paid ads, Google Analytics, how to track it all and things like that.
Awesome. Then that's what I think I'll do. I'll post, as I post in this information to YouTube and to our podcast description, I'll make sure that all your contact info is in there that people can easily access this, or they can see how well your SEO works as they Google your name or YouTube your name and see how quickly things come up for you. But other than that, I wanted to really thank you for this time and so glad you could join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. And I did create a special gift for everyone. So if they do go to my website, SEO Optimizers, .com. That's SEOOptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there along with my classes. It might be a little bit easier to find them there. And also if they want to book a time on my calendar to learn more about SEO and how I could optimize their website, I'm happy to do a free website analysis and they can book some time on my calendar as well there.
Awesome. I'll put that in there as well. That's perfect. Thanks again. And we'll hopefully chat with you soon.
Thanks for having me on today.
I'd like to thank Brandon for joining Soundbytes. The digital marketing world is full of new and emerging strategies that are constantly changing, making this a journey for each business out there. I will post Brandon's contact information in the description of this episode. I will also post my contact information for any feedback regarding this episode. We invite listeners to send in requests for topics on any future episodes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to follow to receive updates on any future episodes. My name is Nick Martin, and you've been listening to the Soundbytes podcast.